The Roman Empire, a name that echoed through time. Its influence stretched far and wide, touching every corner of the known world. From the grandiose architecture to the intricate aqueducts, Rome was a marvel of human achievement. It spoke of legions marching across continents, conquering lands and spreading Roman culture. The disciplined and formidable Roman legions were the backbone of the empire, feared and respected by all. It whispered of magnificent cities and groundbreaking laws. The cities were bustling hubs of commerce and culture, adorned with statues and columns that stood as a testament to Roman ingenuity and artistry. For centuries, Rome had been a beacon of civilization. Then came Commodus. His reign marked a significant shift in the empire's fortunes. His reign marked a turning point. Commodus, unlike his predecessors, was more interested in personal glory than the welfare of the empire. His erratic behavior and poor decisions began to unravel the fabric of Roman society. The Pax Romana, a golden age of peace and prosperity, crumbled. The stability that had allowed Rome to flourish was replaced by uncertainty and fear. The marketplaces that once thrived with activity now echoed with the sounds of decline. The empire would never be the same. The grandeur of Rome began to fade, its structures crumbling and its influence waning. The once mighty empire was now a shadow of its former self. Commodus was no ordinary emperor, he was a tyrant. His face, a mask of arrogance and cruelty, symbolized the decay that had set in. His actions alienated the Senate and the people, leading to widespread discontent. His rule was a whirlwind of madness and brutality. The streets of Rome, once orderly and safe, became scenes of chaos and turmoil. The empire was plunged into a state of disarray, with no clear path to recovery. He plunged the empire into chaos. The citizens, who once looked to their leaders for stability, now found themselves in a state of panic. The markets, the heart of Roman daily life, were in disarray, reflecting the broader collapse of the empire. His story is a cautionary tale. It serves as a reminder of how quickly power can corrupt and how fragile even the mightiest of empires can be. The betrayal and intrigue that marked his reign are lessons in the dangers of unchecked authority. It reminds us that even the most powerful empires are vulnerable. The ruins of Rome stand as a testament to its former glory and a stark reminder of its eventual downfall. The frescoes, once vibrant, now faded, tell the story of battles won and lost. The seeds of destruction can come from within. The decay of Rome was not solely due to external forces, but was also a result of internal strife and mismanagement. The artifacts, now decaying, are silent witnesses to the empire's slow demise. Commodus entered the world in 161 AD, a time when the Roman Empire was at its zenith. The empire stretched from the windswept moors of Britannia to the sun-drenched sands of Egypt, a vast realm of diverse cultures and peoples united under Roman rule. He was born into a world of unimaginable privilege, surrounded by the finest luxuries the ancient world had to offer. Marble statues, intricate mosaics, and lavish banquets were the backdrop of his childhood. His father was Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, a man renowned for his wisdom and stoic principles. Marcus Aurelius was not just a ruler, but a thinker, whose meditations are still studied today. His mother was Faustina the Younger, a woman of great influence and beauty. She was known for her charitable works and her strong presence in the imperial court. Commodus was their only surviving son, the heir to the throne, and the future of the Roman Empire rested on his shoulders. He was destined for greatness, groomed from birth to continue the legacy of his illustrious ancestors. From his earliest days, Commodus was surrounded by luxury. His every whim was catered to, and he never knew a moment of want or hardship. He received the finest education, tutored by the greatest minds of the time in philosophy, rhetoric, and the arts of war and governance. He was groomed for power, taught to speak with authority and to command respect. His education was designed to prepare him for the immense responsibilities that awaited him. But beneath the surface there were cracks. The pressures of his position and the expectations placed upon him began to take their toll. Commodus was a spoiled child, accustomed to getting his way. His upbringing in the lap of luxury left him ill-prepared for the harsh realities of leadership. He craved attention and indulgence, often surrounding himself with sycophants who catered to his every desire. He showed little interest in the affairs of state, preferring instead to indulge in the pleasures of the court. His lack of dedication to his duties would eventually lead to turmoil and strife within the empire. In 177 AD, Marcus Aurelius made Commodus co-emperor. It was a decision born of necessity. The empire was facing threats on multiple fronts. Marcus Aurelius needed his son by his side. Commodus, however, was reluctant. He had no desire for responsibility. When Marcus Aurelius died in 180 AD, Commodus became sole emperor. He was just 19 years old. The weight of the empire now rested on his shoulders. It was a burden he was ill-equipped to bear. Commodus's reign began with promise. As the son of the esteemed Marcus Aurelius, expectations were high. The people of Rome hoped for a continuation of his father's wise and just rule. He made peace with the Germanic tribes, a move that was initially seen as a masterstroke of diplomacy. This peace treaty brought a much-needed respite to the war-weary empire. He seemed eager to follow in his father's footsteps, consulting with his advisors and showing a keen interest in the affairs of the state. The early days of his reign were marked by hope and optimism, but this early promise quickly faded. The pressures of leadership began to weigh heavily on him, and his interest in governance waned. The court, once a place of vibrant discussion and decision-making, started to decline. Commodus had no interest in governing. He found the day-to-day responsibilities of running an empire tedious and uninteresting. Instead of engaging with his advisors, he often ignored their counsel. He left the day-to-day running of the empire to others, delegating his responsibilities to a cadre of officials. This delegation, however, was not based on merit, but on favoritism and personal loyalty. He surrounded himself with corrupt officials and sycophants. These individuals were more interested in their own gain than in the welfare of the empire. They flattered Commodus and indulged his every whim. Commodus's true passions lay elsewhere. He was not interested in the mundane tasks of governance. Instead, he was drawn to the thrill and excitement of the gladiatorial arena. He was obsessed with gladiatorial combat. The sight of blood and the roar of the crowd exhilarated him. He spent countless hours watching and participating in these brutal spectacles. He saw himself as a reincarnation of Hercules. This delusion was not just a private fantasy. He publicly dressed as the mythical hero and demanded to be worshipped as such. He spent hours in the arena fighting wild animals and condemned criminals. These displays were not just for entertainment. They were a way for Commodus to showcase his supposed divine strength and prowess. He revelled in the blood and the spectacle. The more gruesome the combat, the more he enjoyed it. This obsession with violence and self-aggrandizement marked the dark turn of his reign, leading to a period of terror and instability for the Roman Empire. Commodus's obsession with gladiatorial combat became an embarrassment. He would enter the arena himself, dressed as a gladiator. He would fight against outmatched opponents. The crowds cheered, but many saw through the charade. They saw a man who was losing his grip on reality. Commodus's behavior became increasingly erratic. He demanded to be worshipped as a god. He renamed Rome after himself. He executed anyone who dared to question him. The empire descended into a reign of terror. Commodus's tyranny did not go unchallenged. There were numerous plots against his life. His own sister, Lucilla, was involved in one such conspiracy. She paid the ultimate price for her betrayal. She was executed along with her co-conspirators. Commodus became increasingly paranoid. He saw enemies everywhere. He trusted no one. He retreated into a world of his own making. He surrounded himself with guards and informers. He lived in constant fear of assassination. The end, when it came, was swift and brutal. In 192 AD, a group of Commodus's closest advisors decided that he had to go. They hatched a plot to assassinate him. On New Year's Eve, they poisoned his food, but Commodus did not die. He vomited up the poison. His would-be assassins panicked. They sent a wrestler named Narcissus to strangle him in his bath. Commodus, weakened but still strong, fought back, but he was overpowered. The reign of terror was over. Commodus's death brought an end to his reign of madness, but the scars he left on the empire ran deep. His rule marked the end of the Pax Romana. The empire was plunged into a period of instability and civil war. Commodus is remembered as one of the worst emperors in Roman history. He is a byword for tyranny and excess. His story is a reminder that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Commodus's reign was a dark chapter in Roman history. He was a monster in purple robes. His cruelty knew no bounds. Yet, his story is also a cautionary tale. It reminds us that even the greatest civilizations are vulnerable to the whims of tyrants. Commodus's legacy is one of infamy. He is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power. His story serves as a warning to us all, a warning that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance.